fine and get out of here.
I remember it was scary as a kid having a jail in the library. I always got scared. Always was concerned that there might be someone in there when I
Well, that old
go
jail,
check out books.
I tell you, that was the roughest one I've ever seen.
Pretty rough. And when did that library and the jail close?
Well,
They tore the building down, didn't they?
yes, we built the fire station first. The new fire station.
And that's by the bank?
Yes, by the where it's at now. That was when I was mayor. The second time. They wanted a new fire station, and so we there was the fire station there, and then Ruby had an apartment. You remember Ruby Flowers?
Oh, I do remember.
She had
Ruby.
the apartment next door. That was,
She was she worked at the Love Company.
yeah,
huh?
she was the bookkeeper at the Love Company, and she things coming a little slow right at the minute.
Are you getting tired?
Pardon?
Are you getting tired?
Oh, anyway, we had talked, and we had 3 fire trucks. The rural had started a fire district too, so we needed a building big enough for 3 fire trucks. So we decided to tear it down and build a new fire station, just volunteer. And so we ran a millage for $50,000 or something, and it passed quite easily. And we did it all on volunteer work.
Wonderful.
And
Jerry
Jerry
Victor
Victor and I
and
did
Ray.
the biggest share of the volunteer.
Oh,
But the firemen, they worked one day, one weekend,
oh.
and we got it all up.
So that's when they tore the library down?
No, then 2 years later, we got the fire station up and going, and then we decided we needed to upgrade the shop.
Which shop?
City
Well,
shop.
that's where we used to have an old garage there, and we'd park the backhoe there,
Oh, okay.
and then the library was in there, and one of the water pumps was in that building, and so we wanted to upgrade that, and so we bought that building then from Tate's.
Mm.
You remember that they lived in that building next to there's the library.
Was it on the corner, across the street from the service station?
It was right between the service station and the library.
Okay. What was there originally? It almost looked like a motel.
Yeah,
It
that's
did.
what it was.
It was a motel?
It was
It was
3.
apartments for rent, yeah.
There were 4 apartments in there, and some Arlen's from Plus had an international dealership, and they sold international farm equipment, and they lived there. And in the early 40s, they closed that and went to Plus and built Arlen Machinery. And
So that was actually a motel?
well,
Just apartments?
It was just apartments. Tate's then bought it when they came here and bought their trucking company,
Uh-huh.
and they lived in 2 of the apartments with their son. And then they rented one apartment. Dixie and Walt rented one for a while. Several different people through the years would rent that apartment.
Oh, interesting.
And
I know when Dad came to town when he very first came to town without the rest of the family, checking Garfield out and trying to find a place to live, he rented right across the street. There was a house there that my sister said that he lived in for a little while.
I wonder if that was Bob Daly's.
Or Giles.
Well, no, Bob Daly owned Giles' house, And they had that old house on the corner that Mike tore down. And it had 3 apartments in it.
Do you remember what used to be, we thought was the motel? So I thought it was a motel too. And it had a plastic, it was kind of a gray building with little sparkly. Some of the little
Okay,
stones were
right.
kind of,
That was Tate's,
and the kids in town would pick out those stones.
Oh, I remember. Yes.
They were kind of sparkly.
They were, I know it.
that
I mean,
was
it's kind of
Tate's,
pretty. Was,
yeah, that was Tate's building.
So
Yeah.
are there pictures somewhere of the library with the jail? Do you know of any pictures?
I don't know. You know who would be a good source is Donna Manry's
What?
husband.
Oh, you'd think it would have been in the book that was printed,
I
all
know.
about Gar, but it wasn't.
No.
That's,
Well, if you hear of anybody, I would
What
love
was
to.
his name? Manry,
Yeah,
Donna's husband.
right.
He has a lot of
Nick-
photos.
Nick.
Of Nick Manry, thank you.
So,
Greg Park is another one who has lots of pictures.
oh, interesting. Okay. The house that the Gwynns lived in for years,
that's far into town,
that was very close to our old house on the highway.
right, that was
The Gwynn house or
they called it the McCroskey
McCroskey.
house. And that was,
I thought that was where,
that's where Donna lives.
right, no, this is where my old house was. It was right past the Westicott house. There's our house.
That's Goodies.
Yeah, Goody's
next
house.
house.
Then there was the Gwynn's house. And it was out of a catalog.
It was Sears Roebuck House.
Is it
You
a
know.
Sears? It was either Sears or
It's
Wood.
where, Ray. It's
Bill
the Whit-
Anderson's?
No, the Whitmer house. Remember Shannon and Shiloh Whitmer lived in it?
Oh,
And they were well-
that's the cement block. See, it's made out of brick. Max
Yeah.
Merrill's.
Max Merrill's house. He still owns it,
Oh,
Max Merrill.
interesting.
And it's been empty. He's in like a home.
It's in,
But it's a beautiful home.
Yes.
It was.
Yeah.
Hardwood floors and,
we looked at it and almost bought it. Just about the same time we bought this one. And it's totally made out of brick. It's not, didn't have any framework
so that was
in
not
it.
a Sears Roebuck house.
No, it was not. It,
Was Tobarland's a Sears?
yeah.
Do you know the one right down
Danny
here?
Bishop Tobarland's
The,
is a
I don't
Sears
know.
Roebuck house.
What's kind of the address?
it's right here. It's,
On California Street or the one behind
Right
us?
ahead.
is that Union Ray?
Second house over, that's Main.
Main
This is
Street?
California, that's
Yeah,
Main.
Main Street. Oh, and what?
And this is 6,
Trying to think of the family.
This is
living.
8.
With the 2 daughters, he was a
8.
preacher man.
7.
Jim and Pam, Sheldon House. Remember the Sheldon House? It's
How is it related to the Walters, where our neighbor is?
no relation
No, I mean close to it.
to the Walters house.
House, yeah.
The Walters house,
On the
there's
corner.
an alley between them. So they're on the corner.
Oh, okay.
They're right across from this house.
Okay, well, we'll take a walk
And
and
it
check
was
it
a
out.
Sears Roebuck house.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Ah.
And it was built in the Depression, down in
Right.
Bishop.
But it came in on a
She's
train.
a farmer's wife that had died. She bought it, it came in on the railroad car.
Yeah.
And she hired a couple local guys to put it up.
But weren't there 4 McCroskey houses in town, Ray?
Well, I think your folks' house.
I grew up in one,
And that was up by the school.
This isn't about me, so just listen and don't record. But anyway, in 1938, when my family moved here from the Midwest, because there were no jobs for engineers and teachers, my parents, but my parents in Moscow were Kreitz Moscow Growers, if you've ever heard of that big elevator.
Oh.
They were my grandparents. They said, come west. This is in the mid-30s. It's the Depression time.
Oh.
And so he bought 600 acres of land for my dad to manage. Right here, it was path land.
Oh.
And put us in one of the 4 McCroskey houses.
Oh.
So we had furnace, running water, we had everything our friends didn't have.
Oh my.
And it was a culture shock to go and stay with our friends.
Oh.
But anyway, there were 4 in town, Ray.
This was up by the school?
Well-
Yes, it's still there.
There were
And
three
Donna's
McCroskey houses up the far end of
What
town.
is a McCroskey house?
And
Built by-
McCroskey House is Senator McCroskey was one of the first senators from the state of Washington.
Skyline
And-
Drive, did
and
they
he-
own that,
he-
Ray?
And Blanche McCroskey used to work at the Red and White grocery store.
Blanche, okay.
Blanche Johnson.
And she
But she was
lived,
Johnson.
lived off and on with Glenn Gildy.
Oh,
And Glenn Gildy had the lumberyard here.
Oh,
And Blanche's dad was Jim McCroskey. Then the
the
dad,
dad was a senator.
right, then the son, there were two sons, and gosh, I can't think of their names. But anyway, one of them owned the Watson house,
that was my
That
house.
you grew up.
Yes, yes.
and then Bill Burns's house,
Max Merrill's,
no,
Donna
Max
Merrill.
Merrill's house, nothing.
okay.
Who's the Don Anderson farmed his land out here.
Marty Anderson? Yeah.
Marty Anderson's uncle.
Oh,
Uh,
Anderson's all I've ever known about that place.
oh yeah, that's who it was. It was Anderson.
Hmm.
He had the big gray house that turned into be the Barth house.
okay,
Where Greg
yes.
Parks lives now.
The
That was
Barth house,
another
the Parch house.
McCroskey house.
That's a gorgeous home.
That's a.
And then Blanche Johnson's house where Donna lives, that was the McCroskey house.
So those three went together.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And that was one family, they're all McCroskeys.
Well,
So they built them for the McCroskey people.
Yeah.
I guess that those people lived in them. I
Okay.
don't know who lived in that house before my family did.
McCroskey, Bob McCroskey.
Bob
So
McCroskey.
they had them built. They had those houses
They
built.
did.
Okay.
Yeah,
And they
Yeah,
were
so-
well built. They had, they were well built homes. Ray, what did they have to do with Skyline Drive? The McCroskeys.
It was a different family.
Was it?
Oh. So this house, who owned this one?
Now, this was
Johnson.
this is Myrtle Johnson's.
A.P. Johnson.
Oh, I see.
Myrtle, her folks were AP, and I don't know what the AP stands for, but AP Johnson, and they were quite wealthy. And Myrtle, what was the mother's name?
Mrs. Johnson.
So how did they make their money?
They had the
They
mercantile.
they had big farms.
What was the mercantile?
They had the hotel, it was a mercantile.
You gotta read this.
Was it the
thing
gift store?
that I gave you? This.
Oh,
It talks about this mercantile.
okay.
Could we stop and read that?
I sure can.
Read it out loud to us, Kathy.
This is out of Bunchgrass Histories
Yeah, and it's a publication right here.
from, okay,
Yeah.
Whitman County Historical Society. And when was it written, do you think?
I'm really not sure, but it is volume 43, number 1, and it was,
I mean, this article.
this article was written in 2017. I think whoever wrote it, we don't know that. I think we need to get a hold of these people.
But you think it was a long time ago?
Oh, I think it was probably 1916 or 17 or.
Okay, well, I'll
See
read
if
it.
you get a hint here.
Okay.
Okay.
As a place of residence, Garfield is especially attractive to the men of the family who appreciate superior graded and high schools, a wholesome moral atmosphere, and a climate that causes the winters of the East to be remembered only as unhappy nightmares. For many years, the city has been without saloons and is perhaps as free from vicious allurements as any town in the West.
Is that great?
The school buildings are among the most commodious in the county, and the enrollment is nearing the 400 mark. The city's business streets are macadamized and
Yep.
lighted by electricity, and there is a complete municipally owned water system. Both the business and residence sections are built in a manner to indicate the prosperity of the community. The possibilities of the territory tributary to Garfield are of a character that makes safe the prediction that the town will within the next few years double in population. Garfield has become an important trading and commercial center through the enterprise and progressive character of its businessmen. One of the largest and most important commercial institutions in Whitman County is the immense of the Garfield there must be something missing here, of the Garfield Hardware and Mercantile Company. The two banks here have a wide reputation for their strength and conservative methods. So there were two banks.
There were two banks.
Okay. The excellent motel here?
Hotel.
Hotel, okay. Do you have it,
Yeah,
part of
go
it's
ahead.
cut off?
Oh, it is. I'll redo that.
Okay, so the excellent, where are we at?
Right up here.
Okay. I'll start with the banks. Two banks have gained a wide reputation for their strength and conservative methods. The excellent hotel here maintained the clean and enterprising newspaper here published. The general stores and the flouring mill all have contributed to attract trade to this point and hold it there. The rank and file of Garfield's businessmen are in each instance enthusiastic for their city. This public spirit and genial hospitality manifested have gained for Garfield a reputation as a live and growing city. In every respect, this is true. And as the years unfold the hidden history to be recorded, the truth will become apparent that this city, with its residents, loyal and enthusiastic, has builded strongly and well. It will be a city of prominence and influence in the Northwest, as it is now one of the most thrifty and prosperous in Whitman County. All this is ultimately true because of the immense richness of the tributary country and the great excellence of its natural advantages and opportunities. And there's a picture of the home of the Garfield Hardware and Mercantile Company.
Speaking of mercantiles.
What was that? Is it still there?
Yeah, this is the bank building.
Okay, then the left company, huh?
Yep, this is the bank, and the Legion was on the third floor.
Mason?
Yep, and here's the Love Billy back here.
Uh-huh.
And this was the hardware store here.
Oh.
And then there's the, why don't you run and get that picture off the wall of my office? It shows it a lot better than
Does
that.
it? Okay.
Carol said, Daddy, we had a great visit. She said to tell you that.
I love it. We visit often.
She says that too.
Yes.
So the Westacotts, they were quite influential. I mean, they had a lot of businesses and things, didn't they? Well, they had the pharmacy, right?
They had the pharmacy, and they had, there were three brothers, and they all farmed, I think.
Oh.
I mean, their parents had farmed, and so they wound up owning the three different farms.
Oh.
But the two brothers were pharmacists. They rented
The pharmacy.
pharmacy together, right?
And they had lots of jewelry too, I think, didn't they?
I don't know
They
what.
sold jewelry?
It's,
Here you go, Rich. Here are the buildings.
Oh, yes,
Right,
that's
there's the one
that's
on
down
Short.
there. Okay, and this building's gone, right? That's where the movie theater was?
yeah.
Right next door?
This little park in front of Stephen Bishop's
Attorney,
office,
right?
And here, I think you can see those gas pumps. Right here, right,
Oh, yes, you can.
right there.
Oh, interesting. Huh.
It's,
Do you want to see this in the camera?
Hold it up and I'll
Okay.
square with my,
That's the top picture.
square with me here.
Sorry.
Square.
Square, yes. How's that?
Beautiful.
Can you get it?
Yeah, I just have glare on the glass, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
and these are all this,
What picture
Oh.
is this one?
Thank you.
Thank you.
this is taken off of South Hill,
Uh-huh.
and this is the road going up to South Hill, yeah.
So the water tower?
Yeah,
You've got to see it.
up to the school.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's going right down, here's the warehouses down
That's so nice.
there, and
but we don't know.
here's 3 depots here in a row.
3, oh, train depots.
Yep,
Was the 2000,
But I remember the train depot on the hill by the P-mill was just beautiful.
Because read it,
because it
it's
shows
It
here.
doesn't look like
But
it.
it must be in about this area.
of the article.
You see, it's up in this area up in the air.
So there was a flour mill in Garfield?
Well, you know, I keep hearing that, but the only one that I know of was in Alberton.
And that was a grist mill.
In Alberton. And a flour mill. They had the river.
What's
And
the difference between a grist mill and a,
Well, the grist
Farm.
mill is got the big wheel that turns all the machinery
Okay.
and grinds the
And there was a big
grain.
prune orchards too,
That was
right?
in Alberton.
Right, in Orchard, Everton, right. What year do you suppose?
well, it went out of there in the 30s.
Oh,
Hang
okay.
it right up.
Yeah,
Have you seen this, Carol?
And when did the Kriebels get started with their building supply?
It is.
19, Malin and went to California and worked for a while. They came back here
Yeah, and there's no date on
in
it. No, and then of course the street goes that way.
51 or 2.
Oh, just before my family got here.
Out south, isn't it?
In fact, we lived in the house
It's almost like it's dirt.
just above
I
you.
know it.
Uh-huh.
One of the first
It's
years we
almost
were
like the
married.
town is
Oh.
flat.
Yeah, and it's
The
so
Fisher
not.
house?
It is
Yeah.
so not.
With
I
Bert
know.
Fisher?
No, the next one up, it was the George Ray house, that where Dale Hansen lived.
Oh,
And,
Right across from where you lived, but right behind the elder
up the
house.
hill, up the hill.
Up the
Oh,
hill,
up the hill one,
behind the elder house.
behind the elder house.
Okay,
Yeah.
and
Is everybody warm enough?
I am, but,
Are you warm enough?
and so they had the building supply there for years.
well, they started it, and it was just a way for him to buy material,
Oh, yeah.
and so he started that building supply. She ran the store really, and he went out
Oh, Louise Kriebel.
and did the work, did build houses.
Right.
But she'd sell stuff to people.
Yeah.
It's my first job. I worked for them
Did you?
as a clerk one
They were
day.
interesting people.
Yeah, oh, yes, they were.
They're nice
Malin,
people.
Malin, he was a funny guy, but he was a good carpenter. Very good carpenter.
And they raised good kids.
Honey, would
Man.
you give me a half a glass of chocolate milk?
Sure.
I've got it drying out.
Would you like
Sorry, I'm making you talk so
chocolate
much.
milk? Would you like that even more than water?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll
that's-
fix you chocolate milk anytime.
So the cafe with all the hats.
The cafe,
Yes, with all the hats.
that was the Nook.
No, was it the Nickel? There was
No.
another one across the street from where the
Oh.
barber shop was.
It was Lorna Ray, it was
Oh.
Lorna Marple's mother's.
Oh, that was Faye,
I forgot about those dirty hats.
Dirty hats, huh?
They were dirty.
didn't she move them to the Nook then? Or
I don't think the Nook was in operation anymore.
she jumped back and forth
She went across the street. She
a
went,
couple of times.
She did.
yeah,
Oh,
she tried 2 different locations.
so she had quite the hat collection,
Oh,
huh?
yes, everybody'd come in and she'd say, oh, give me your hat. And they'd leave their old dirty hat.
Name.
And,
Fran
see.
Clark, Ray Fran Clark.
Yeah, and then she married.
Fran Clark?
Fran, yeah, Fran.
she married
Okay, let's see if we got,
Fran.
when did the lion drinking fountain get in the park?
That's quite a
Uh,
nice article, Joan, or to have.
Isn't that?
Yeah, that's very
That's
interesting
it.
take on,
It was written
It had to be in the,
using the vocabulary of the times.
yeah.
Builded and
honey, when did the lion go in the park? The drinking fountain? Jill she went down and it growled at her.
Katie.